Another day, another knife in the back of Americans, hand delivered by Joe Biden and his administration. Biden's administration admits to flying 320,000 migrants secretly into the U.S. to reduce the numbers of crossing at the border has national security vulnerabilities. Let's get right into this story. Joe Biden's administration has admitted to transporting migrants on secret flights into the U.S., and lawyers for its immigration agencies claim revealing the locations could create national security vulnerabilities. Custom and Border Protection has refused to disclose information about a program last year secretly arranging flights for thousands of undocumented immigrants from foreign airports directly into U.S. cities. It means that while record numbers of migrants were flown over the southern border last year, the Biden White House was also directly transporting them into the country. Use of a cell phone app has allowed for near undetected arrival by air of 320,000 aliens with no legal rights to enter the United States. This is coming after a controversy over a 2022 transportation program in which the administration used taxpayer money to move migrants throughout the country on overnight flights. Included in the details of the Freedom of Information Act, a lawsuit first reported by Todd Bensman, the Center for Immigration Studies found Biden's CBP, that's Customs and Borders Patrol, approved the latest secretive flights that transported hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants from foreign countries into at least 43 different American airports from January through December 2023. The program was part of Biden's expansion of the CBP One app, which kicked off at the start of last year. Migrants were able, under Biden's expansion, to apply for asylum using the app from their home countries. But the Center for Immigration Studies notes that transportation of these migrants directly into the U.S. is one of the lesser known uses of the app. Aliens who cannot legally enter the U.S. use CBP One to apply for travel authorization and temporary humanitarian release from those airports. Temporary, yeah, they're going to be here for forever unless they're deported. Under the parole release, migrants are able to remain in the U.S. for 2 years without obtaining legal status and meanwhile are eligible for work authorization. The administration first said it would not reveal which airports the undocumented aliens were transported, citing a law enforcement exception in the refusal to hand over information. I know several major U.S. cities that just have dozens, sometimes even hundreds of illegal immigrants just sleeping in there, like Chicago's airport, in New York, Logan Airport in Boston, too. But new information from the CIS lawsuit reveals locations were not disclosed due to a fear of bad actors would inflict harm on public safety or the information would create law enforcement vulnerabilities. CBP lawyers wrote that revealing the airports reveal information about the relative number of individuals arriving and thus resources expended at particular airports. That would in turn reveal operational vulnerabilities that could be exploited by bad actors, altering their patterns of conduct, adopting new methods of operation, and taking other countermeasures. Here we have a picture of the programs following the controversy of the midnight flights where Joe Biden and his administration flew underage migrants into the U.S. from the U.S. Mexico border. They add that this could thereby undermine CBP's law enforcement efforts to secure the southern border. Yes, they're securing the border so much. No, they're not. They're literally just processing people and shipping them into the country. Republicans insist the southern border is not secure. Tens of millions of people coming over in just over 3 years. How many tens of thousands of pounds of deadly drugs have also come over? They are demanding that Biden implement more strict protocols between the U.S. and Mexican border. CIS says that the circular flights are legally dubious and claims CBP will not disclose locations for fear of grave consequences is not likely a program that should continue. Lawyers also did not disclose the locations of foreign airport departures, making it unclear where these migrants are coming from. But those eligible for CBP One applications are citizens from Cuba, Haiti, Venezuela, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Colombia, and Ecuador. They say this program has caused vulnerabilities in our national security, which is just a nice way for them to say that there could potentially be a terrorist attack because we don't know who these tens of millions of people are that are coming over the border, all right? They're coming from all over the world, not just South America and Latin America. They're coming from North Africa, China, the Middle East, all right? And we have no idea who these people are, but we're just letting them all in. I think everyone should come to America. All right, America's the greatest country in the world. It's the greatest country to ever exist. But you got to come here legally. All right, we have seen the impacts of what just 3 years, little over 3 years of unfettered illegal immigration has done to this country, and we need to put an end to it, all right? And if you think this is something new of Biden flying migrants into the country illegally, no, this has been going on for years and we've known it. Here we have October 18th, 2021, Biden secretly flying underage migrants into New York in the dead of the night. Here we have April 15th, 2022, Biden administration resumes after dark migrant flights to airports outside New York City. New records, Biden DHS has approved hundreds of thousands of migrants for secretive foreign flights directly into U.S. airports from September 21st, 2023. And Biden secretly has let 221,000 migrants fly into the U.S. in the past year. You'll hear people saying we need to help these women and children, but the vast majority of people I've seen that have crossed the border are all military age men coming by themselves. And do you think they're trying to be upstanding citizens? No. This is what they're doing. We have deadly alliance brewing between MS-13 and bloodthirsty Venezuelan Tren de Aragua gang behind NYC cell phone robberies. A brutal Venezuelan gang that has used the border crisis to set up in New York has joined forces with the feared MS-13, a senior FBI agent has told the Post. Law enforcement is warning that a rapidly expanding criminal empire with a sprat of brazen phone robberies in the five boroughs is a priority for the FBI. Morales, the special agent in charge of the El Paso division in Texas, said the agency is closely monitoring Tren de Aragua's growth and is concerned about it forming alliances with existing networks. The Post revealed Monday how Venezuelan gang, which established a bloody crime network across South America, is replicating its methods in New York, recruiting among new migrants at shelters to set up cell phone robbery gangs, and using its international reach to traffic the phones to Colombia to be resold. MS-13 and other gangs could become temporary allies, so the FBI is actively sharing intelligence about the gang. Yes, look at these poor women and children that need America's help. Absolutely crazy. While these gangs wouldn't normally mix, it's always going to be concerned as the gang expands its strength and establishes a foothold. Right now, we are working with our local law enforcement partners and sharing intelligence in order to stop the growth of the gang. I got a really good way to stopping the growth. Just literally deporting them all. Just get them out of here. Gang members generally pass through border cities such as El Paso en route to other parts of the U.S. Border Patrol agents apprehended 41 gang members along the U.S. southern border between October 2022 and September 2023, and the FBI is asking Venezuelan migrants to report gang members, offering them anonymity through the FBI's 1-800 call FBI tip line. Here we have a picture of two men who have stealing cell phones while riding mopeds in New York. So this is how it works. The gang members cross the border, claim asylum, and head for New York City. Gangsters recruit other migrants at shelters. They send WhatsApps saying, "Need phones? I have dollars. I'm available. Go get them." And we saw up there that two-men squads on mopeds snatch phones from people using them in the New York streets. They keep the phones unlocked and rush them to stash houses. The hackers will drain cash apps and make fraudulent transactions in the US and South America, and then the gang will send them to Bottega, Colombia, where they are wiped and sold as the gang fronts. Their first victims are their fellow Venezuelans, said Morales, adding that the gang tries to recruit new members among their own migrant community. They extort Venezuelans by demanding that they pay bribes in exchange for protection, and even to cross the border from Venezuela into Colombia and from Mexico into the U.S., he said. The gang has taken advantage of an explosion in Venezuelan migration to come across the southern border. There were more than 340,000 encounters with migrants from the country at the border last year, making them second only to Mexicans. Other experts warn that there are also a risk of turf wars between gangs. They're already coming as hardened criminals, a security consultant for the former U.S. Marshal in El Paso said. But they certainly could be trying to recruit others to join the gang in the U.S. I wouldn't rule out that possibility that they could form alliances with other gangs, but what's more likely to happen is that a turf war breaks out and each gang fights to control their own criminal enterprise. This is just reminding me so much of what happened in Europe about 10 years ago, where they literally just let Middle Eastern refugees flood into the continent, skipping over dozens of countries where they could have claimed asylum, and going to European countries, because they would get the most benefits there. And I'm sure you've heard how Sweden became the rape capital of the world due to it. And they actually have no go zones there. That's what I fear for the US. So we'll go to Wikipedia and see what they have to say about no go area, describing it. We'll go for the 21st century one. The term has often been most used to refer to areas that police or medical workers consider too dangerous to enter without heavy backup. Government officials and journalists from various European countries, including France and Germany, have used the term to describe neighborhoods within their own country. This usage of the term is controversial, generating significant debate over which areas, if any, are truly off limits to police. Some commentators and politicians have falsely claimed that Europe and or the other United States contain areas where national law has been displaced by Sharia law and non-Muslims are shunned. Yes, they try to pass it off as something controversial, and it's like a conspiracy theory. No, I don't know about any places in the U.S. where national law has been displaced by Sharia law. Non-Muslims are shunned, but we have no-go zones like the Chaz riot, the George Floyd zone 2, where these communists, they're literal self-proclaimed communists, took over the area and said that, hey, police can't come here. But what I'm going to focus more on is the European version coming to America. Well, we have at the time, then German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who admitted that, yeah, there are no-go zones in Germany. They say here, conservatives and populists have long warned of the existence of such zones as partial consequence for mass Muslim migration from the Middle East and Africa, particularly after Merkel opened Germany's borders in 2015 as a response to the Syrian refugee crisis. Such areas are said to be dogged by high-level crime and described as no-go zones because outsiders, including police and other authorities, are unable to enter. Despite evidence of their existence of areas in Western countries, European leaders and left wing media commentators have long denied, sometimes even mocked those who claim that no go zones exist. But Merkel, who won Times Person of the Year in 2015, in part because of her open border stance, mentioned their existence in an interview this week with German broadcaster and TV as she called for a zero tolerance policy on crime. Just want to let you know this came out March 1st, 2018. She said that people have a right to feel safe when they meet in public places. When asked to clarify, she specified she was talking about no go zones. It means, for example, that there cannot be any no go areas. There cannot be areas where no one dares to go, but there are such places, she said. One has to call them by the name and do something about it. The Associated Press reported that it had left fellow lawmakers speechless, that the remarks quickly spread across Europe, fueling and encouraging national populist politicians who have pushed back against lax immigration policies. Do you want something like this coming to the US, where maybe even a city like New York is completely taken over and police can't do anything because it's just overrun by hundreds of thousands of illegal criminals? No, I really don't see the off ramp to this, all right? The Biden administration and the sanctuary cities have no plans on changing their policies, all right? So it's just going to keep encouraging millions and millions of people to illegally enter the country. Do you agree with me or disagree with me? Let me know why. Comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much.